Hello, and welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
We're coming back after a couple of weeks or something like that.
Yeah, we used to be really good about it, but just given the stuff going on lately, it's kind of like it's when we can, and but at the same time, got some stuff in the chambers that we're both working on, and on top of that, something like, well, you know what, we got to make time for this because essentially DC Comics is not the only thing we talk about, but it's probably one of the main things we talk about.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like one's like, well, you only get so many movies no matter what a year. And might as well talk about one, but this one was kind of an interesting one, really, at the end of the day, because you think about it, you take like the DC movie that's probably generally people's least favorite, and you're like, hey, let's make a sequel to that.
Well, it's a weird combination of things, because regardless of what people think about Suicide Squad, majority of people really like Harley Quinn, and that brought people's attention to Harley Quinn who did not already know comics. Like, oh, that's the girlfriend from the cartoon or whatever. Okay, cool. And then from there, I mean, my mom knows who Harley Quinn is now. You know what I mean? And my parents like Suicide Squad, and I'm like, well, you guys never read the comics, so I get it. But at the same time, it's one of those things like, oh, my parents, my mom's, I don't think she's going to go to theater to see it. She's like, oh, I'd like to see that Harley Quinn movie eventually. So, So I guess in some way it would kind of work, but clearly not, just because of that confusing-ass name they gave it.
Well, it's the thing, too, about Suicide Squad. This is always the part that I think people also kind of forget. Is that movie's like first 45 minutes is like really fucking good. And I think that's what makes the movie kind of go like, it's like you're going on this roller coaster ride. You're like, dude, it's going to be so fucking awesome. So fucking awesome. And it's just like, oh, it's, they got all the characters in here and it's badass. And it's like, it's got, the cuts are all nice and they're progressing. And it's got Batman even shows up for a moment. Like there's so much stuff going on that first 45 minutes or so. And then all of a sudden it gets about close to that hour mark. And it's like this roller coaster goes down, and you think it's like, oh, there's going to be loop-de-loops, and there's going to be corkscrews and all this stuff. And then it's almost like it just slowly comes to a stop, just like on flat ground. Nothing exciting whatsoever. I'm not saying it's not like, I'm not saying this is like nothing exciting, but you start off with this movie that's almost like leading you into you're going to have like almost like a perfect DC movie. And then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, we're riding it out like that. Big old beam into the sky, just a generic battle, and oh, okay. Oh, ride's over? Get the fuck out. Oh, okay, yeah. Can we get back in line? No, don't get back in line. Just keep going.
And that's also when, like, Warner Brothers was still doing a lot of meddling, which I guess they still kind of are to some extent, depending on what the movie is. But this one, so, I mean, I didn't hate Suicide Squad, but I didn't really like it that much walking out of it, and I saw it again on TV like a year or two back. I'm like, okay, it's better than I remember, but it's still really not that great of a movie. I don't really care for it that much. It was just like, I think it's just because it starts off so good, and then as it goes on, we're like, oh, okay. And then just the writing was very clunky and very just cheesy, and like, this is my family. Like, you guys been hanging out for like half a day.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, it's not the worst movie, but it's just like that kind of like middle of the road. Like, I feel like if somebody says like they fucking hate it, they're just probably making shit up. But like, it's one of those ones. It's more like, you could watch it. You could, as I said, the beginning's so good, and then it's not bad. It's just like, I think it's because that movie was let in, like, because think about like the trailer and everything like that. Like that movie was set up that it should have been just pure amazing, and I think that's sort of like the downfall of it is like when you kind of lead people in that hardcore, and then it's kind of like, oh, guess what? The movie's just sort of good, but not all the way developed.
Now, all that being said, so because a lot of people walked out of that movie liking Harley Quinn and wanted to see more of her, and everyone seems to really like Margot Robbie. So going in to see this movie, this movie was exactly what I feared it would be to a certain extent when I first heard, like, they're doing a Birds of Prey movie. Oh, cool. And it's going to have Harley Quinn in it. Like, please don't do the thing where you push all the other characters aside and just make it about Harley Quinn. And the movie definitely does that, but I kind of saw it coming from, like, 200 miles away. So for that reason, I was kind of able just to accept it and move forward with that, And I think it's one of those things where it was really fucking confusing why they chose the name Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. I'm like, you really should have just called it Harley Quinn and then been surprised. Like, oh fuck, Birds of Prey are in this. That's cool.
Yeah, that was one of those ones where it's like, I think it's like the thing they had like the title and they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll make a Birds of Prey movie. And probably at first it was going to be a Batgirl movie or something, 6 years ago. And then like at some point they're like, fuck it, we'll just make it a Harley Quinn movie and we'll just include the Birds of Prey. But yeah, it really should this movie should have just 100% be called the Harley Quinn movie. Like it's almost kind of retarded to like give it like that name. You know what I mean? It's like kind of having a movie that fucking starred Robin and it was just called Batman. You're like, well, where the fuck's Batman at in this movie?
Yeah, or it's like or if like seeing Batman Begins and like like it's called Scarecrow featuring the fantabulous adventure of Batman, something like that,
and his pal Alfred.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing too. Is like, because like when I was going to this movie, like I kind of just from watching the trailer, like I sort of knew what I was getting into. I could see if you went into this movie blind, I could see people being super fucking enraged. You know what I mean? Like, because this movie feels like it would be like the biggest like cock tease of lead you in the wrong fucking direction, like known to mankind. But like when watching the trailer, I was like, okay, I get it. It's a Harley Quinn movie. Like, whatever, that's fine. I'm like, I probably like Suicide Squad more than most people did, so whatever. And then to top it off, it's just like I kind of saw what all the Birds of Prey look like. I'm like, yeah, they all kind of look a little half-assed, but whatever. Once again, I'll sort of I'll take it as is and just see what happens.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where watching this movie, I kind of saw that coming too. Like, well, we don't know until we see it, so let's just see what happens. And I'll say this right off the bat. I liked the movie. I thought it was good. I don't think it's a movie that blew me away out of the water. I think I like some of the other DC expanded universe movies more than this one, but I liked it more than Suicide Squad, and I thought it was, and I think I liked it more than probably maybe Wonder Woman. So I thought it, and I still liked Wonder Woman, but you and me don't love that movie like everyone else does. We just oh yeah, Wonder Woman was fun, but I like this one more than Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman 84 looks awesome though. I'm really hoping that one comes through. But this one right here, I mean, kind of knowing everything I did, I'm like, all right, well, I probably would have been 100% fine with it if it was just called Harley Quinn. A lot of people are going on this tangent about this movie being like, I don't want to go too much into this because I feel like it might take up the whole podcast if we open that box. But a lot of people are just going on and on and on about this movie being kind of like SJW, like woke, like propaganda or whatever. But at the same time, like you never seen a comic book with like girl superheroes. They're villains, not always, but most of the time are guys. And Harley Quinn's not really meant to be a good character in this movie. She still screws them over. She doesn't really join them. So
Well, that was the thing I kind of liked about it, though, is the fact that they didn't make her like, oh, Harley Quinn is the leader of the Birds of Prey. The Birds of Prey was actually a completely separate thing in it. And that's kind of good, because I thought they're going to do almost the thing they did like in the X-Men movies, where after a while they started making Mystique like, she's a good character and she's a hero. I'm like, get the fucking shit out of here. Just because she's the highest paid actress doesn't mean she has to be the fucking like hero of the X-Men. That is so fucking stupid. Like, you know what I mean? Like... And that's what I thought the Harley Quinn movie was sort of going to do. And then it's like, I'm kind of glad that like they didn't do that. It's just like, oh no, she's still just kind of shitty, retarded Harley Quinn. And then here it happens to be the Birds of Prey, or the kind of the makeshift, kind of half-assed Birds of Prey. The Birds of Prey without like an actual real like Batgirl. You just have like an overweight like Asian chick that's, supposed to at some point work out and become somebody.
That's supposed to be back. That's Cassandra Cain.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. But like, you look at that, it's like, she's Batgirl because they're both Asian, but she's just a fat little 12-year-old or whatever. Oh, okay, that's a weird choice. Who has to poop out a rock? That's the plot of the movie.
Well, I'll say this. It wasn't the best movie. I think that if she was just some street kid, or even made her like another like if you made her like even Holly Robinson or something, I think that's fine. But knowing it's Cassandra Cain, that was just a weird choice just because it didn't kill it for me. But because Cassandra Cain, if I remember correctly, her whole thing is she was the daughter of Lady Shiva, which is a League of Assassins assassin, and her dad was, I think, I think something Kane, like some kind of ex-operative kind of guy who was he's a black ops kind of soldier, and she was basically raised by the League of Assassins, a trained like murder machine, and then she got reformed and brought into Batman's side. So that is a complete 180 from what you have here. And I think that she could have been anybody. They could have just changed the name, and she just could have been a made up character for the movie. But the fact that's her for this doesn't really ruin it for me, because who knows? They'll probably just reboot it like in 2 years or whatever. So.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying it's like it's not like it's the worst thing, but it is kind of just like it's just like there's weird choices in it. Like this movie still feels like, in a sense, like it's that kind of like where you do like 1 step forward, 2 steps back, sort of. Like I give it credit for it being, because I didn't realize it was actually going to be rated R, because I just never fucking saw that. And I was like, oh, that's actually kind of ballsy. At least they're kind of going with the rated R-ness. And I'm not too sure if it's one of those ones where like Joker came out and did so well that they're like, shit, we had like a unrated DVD copy. Fuck it, throw that in as the theatrical version instead. Because it's kind of like, it's rated R, but it almost feels like I could see it being kind of re-edited back together to be a rated R movie, where it was maybe a PG-13 movie 6 months ago or something like that.
I feel like they were definitely leaning on the R, but at the same time, because the violence in it, it's all like, it's not like, oh, here's like guts. The most violent part of the movie, I think, is really when Black Mask dies, and it's still kind of in like a dark area where it's still sort of hard to see.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's just mostly language is kind of it. I mean, like, at the same time, it's still like, once again, that's still like, I consider that's definitely the step forward.
Mm-hmm. I liked it. I thought it was, I mean, like I said, it sounds like I probably liked it more than you did. And like I said, I wasn't blown away, but I kind of went into this movie pretty neutral. So, like, expecting, like, I'm probably going to like it, but I'm also prepared to dislike it. So we'll see what happens. And the whole thing with, I'll say the whole opening, I like the animated opening they have explaining Harley Quinn. Because I guess the other thing about the movie is, not the movie, but there's the Harley Quinn show on the DC network, on DC Universe.
Mm-hmm.
And that show is legitimately funny and legitimately well written. And it's one of those things where, because for a while we were just like, okay, they're just making Harley Quinn like Hot Topic clown stripper or whatever. But then this is one where, okay, she still has a little bit of that, but she's actually funny, and she's actually quick-witted, and she's not just doing bouncy, silly things for the sake of doing bouncy, silly things.
Yeah, she's not just because sometimes it's like they've almost made her like the goofy. It's like she's just like, it's in a sense it's like probably about, like, you think about Harley Quinn, like sometimes the way that she's designed is she's pretty much the worst role model you could possibly have for any female. It's just like, here's in a sense a stupid fucking hooker who like just always just gets out of things like out of sheer luck and not really a whole lot of skill. And sometimes it's like that's the only downfall, because I feel like that's not how Harley Quinn was initially written, like the Paul Dini kind of version. You know, I feel like as time has gone on, though, some people have gotten some weird interpretations of her, and it's like I'm kind of hoping that we can kind of get away from like the streetwalker hooker kind of thing, because I just feel like, I don't know, like that to me it's like she's supposed to be fucking like a psychiatrist. Like, where does the hooker part come from?
I feel like it's just one of those things that's meant to be like, I think they're trying to like walk that fine line, because she's already wearing, like before, she was already wearing a spandex suit. Like, all right, well, what's the next thing we can do with that? Like, I guess booty shorts, pigtails, whatever. I don't fucking know. And from there, I think they kind of went on and just made this, okay, it's quasi Hot Topic, quasi punk rock. And I think that's the thing about Harley Quinn. It's hard to narrow her down, because DC Comics and Warner Brothers have been trying to make her a sex symbol. They've been trying to make her a domestic abuse survivor. They've been trying to make her a feminist icon. There's all these things they're trying to do, and then sometimes, you know, and more recently she's gone from being Joker's girlfriend to being Joker's ex-girlfriend and trying to be more of her own. That's what her whole show Harley Quinn's about. And like I said, that show is really good. It's really funny. It's well written. Mm-hmm. And this movie, I think, was kind of pulling from that. I mean, I like the Harley Quinn in the show more than this movie, but I could still see that. Like, she still did and said silly things. It was kind of like she was just basically trying to be girl Deadpool by this point.
Well, yeah, and that's, I think, the other thing, too, is, like, once Deadpool got popular, I think they sort of they're like, well, we'll make Harley Quinn like the Deadpool. But it's almost like, I don't know, it's a weird one. And it's like, so like for this movie too, it's like, this movie to me, I felt like, oh, you know, it's a middle of the road movie. To me, it's like, I probably like Suicide Squad more, but I feel like it's in about that same kind of category as like Suicide Squad, you know, Birds of Prey, the Shazam movie. Like, they're all kind of like those, like, you know, they're solid, they're entertaining. They're like those ones, like, it's like, you know, they're not going to be those legendary Dark Knight type movies that you're always going to be pulling out and whatnot. But But yeah, it's
I'll
just.
say this: some people probably say blasphemy. I like this more than Joker.
I like this movie way more than Joker. Joker's my least favorite DCU movie. Like that to me. I'm not saying it's not a good one, but that's a movie that to me it has like Joker's one of those ones where it's like it has moments in it that are pure awesome, but those moments are so few and far between. The rest of it's just a guy smoking cigarettes, dancing in his underwear, and he's retarded. And I'm sorry, my Joker's not retarded, so that's all I gotta say.
It was someone's take, that's for sure. Because Joker, he seemed a little bit more aloof. Like there's the part when he's on the couch, and once again, I like that movie, but there's the part where he's on the couch. He's like, I know sometimes Joker's portrayed as more feminine, but he's just like I think it's funny, and I'm tired of acting like it's not like that. And I think he was almost trying to like, how would an internet troll who people hate, how would he respond to this? And I think that's almost kind of like their take on that. And because by that point, I feel like Joker is way more like, he may say bad jokes, but he's very quick-witted. He can be like intentional bad jokes, but that's okay. He's gonna follow up with a punchline that kills you, and that to him's the funniest thing in the world. Or he actually is legitimately kind of funny, kind of like how he is in Dark Knight. Like I don't care what people say. I think he's actually kind of funny in Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And well, that's sort of the thing too. It's like, that's the thing is, I give the Joker movie, I give it more credit for just being like ballsy, different, just something you've never seen before. I think that's totally what it is. But it's just one of those movies like I don't really ever imagine myself watching that one again. That was like it's like I call those like one and done movies. You see them, you enjoy them for what they are, but you're kind of like that. That's about all I kind of need. You know what I mean? It's not Batman v Superman. It's not Man of Steel. It's not Dark Knight.
I will say I feel like a lot of
it's not Aquaman for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have expected when you told me. I would have expected to like it, but Aquaman is definitely, as far as this new slate of DC movies, Aquaman's definitely one of the best ones. So.
Oh, to me, that's a perfect 4 out of 4. That one and Justice League were like 4 out of 4 movies. Like I can't find anything wrong with them.
I think for me, it's probably like Man of Steel, like Aquaman, Justice League. Probably this is where they kind of start to run and get together a little bit. Then probably on the same roster you got like probably Birds of Prey, Shazam, like Wonder Woman, and then like Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's like overall like the Birds of Prey one. It's still interesting. I mean, I think it's cool that they got Black Mask in there. You know what I mean? I know they kind of make Black Mask kind of gay in this one too for some weird reason, but they make him like a gay rapist is kind of the best way to kind of describe it. And I think that's probably where like when you're bringing that up before, where like the social justice people or whatever, like you could kind of say that the men characters are almost like weak, I guess by being gay. And it's like they make Zaz kind of like they give him almost like what's his name from fucking Bugs
Victor Zaz.
From Bugs Bunny.
The Elmer Fudd thing.
They give him sort of like an Elmer Fudd, like he's kind of special ed and kind of like wascally and so on.
He's eager to impress his boss.
Yeah, so it's like by that standard, they do have some weird sort of takes on him, but at the same time, I will say I like how they made Black Mask super angry and still kept that part of it there.
I didn't mind that he was kind of flamboyant. I mean, there's different versions of Black Mask, and like there's one version where he was like this weird like, I put on this mask and I am very serious, and you like Batman, you will do what I say. My eyes hypnotize people now for some reason. No, you don't. Okay. There's like a few comics where that happened for some reason.
Yeah.
And then there's some where he was like basically Tony Montana, but with like a black skull for a face. And there are some where he was just kind of like another, like he had like the whole hostile thing going on. And I get why they did with that, what they did with them, because I actually, what they did with Ewan McGregor's Black Mask didn't bother me, actually, because looking into him, his whole thing is he came from a rich family in Gotham, and his family ran a cosmetics company. And, they went into more things about, his face got fucked up and he had a death cult, and basically he put masks on people's faces, and if they remove the mask from their face, it would fuck up their face because they had some weird adhesive thing on it. So, but all that being said, I kind of saw like hints of his origin in there. Like, and he's not like a character like Green Goblin or Joker or like Dr. Octopus, where people kind of have an idea of his origin. He's a very random character. So the fact that they went out of their way and had, okay, he has an obsession with masks. He kind of resents his family. He came from money, and that whole thing about, like, I think that he might be kind of a little posh or a little kind of flamboyant if he did come from some, like, company, family that came from, like, beauty line products and fashion.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, and I think that the black mask is really the takeaway part of this entire movie. I think by far, that was the part that just got, like, nailed and did really well. And I think that is really kind of the best part of it, you know? Because it's one of those ones, like, that's always a character it's like you always wanted to see sort of in a movie, and it's like you just didn't really ever think you're going to get Black Mask, and to finally kind of get it, it's like, oh, that's pretty neat.
My only real problem with this movie, only big problem with, actually not big problem, I guess, I understand, I saw it coming, but I'm like, spoilers, may have already said this, but spoilers, when he dies at the end, I'm like, well, that's probably another, I don't know how many years before I get to see Black Mask in a movie again.
Yeah, I was kind of bummed when they killed him off. I was like, I mean, I get it. Like, I guess, like, I'll say it's like, I like Black Mask a lot. I guess I could see him being sort of a throwaway character to, like, the average public. You know what I mean? Like, a one and done, like, that's all you need him for. But, like, it was like, well, that's kind of a bummer. Because that actually is one of my, like, I always feel like whenever it's a Black Mask story, I feel like I like that a little bit more than many other character choices.
Well, I feel like a lot of comic book fans really don't even know a whole lot about Black Mask. There's this one channel I was watching, I don't remember which one, but they basically break down histories of different comic book characters and this and that, and go into heavy detail. I'm like, and I saw like, oh, there's one on Black Mask. Okay, and I watch it. At the end, they usually give you, I think it's very in comics. At the end, they usually give you like recommendations of books to read about Black Mask or about whatever character they're talking about. And then I'm like, okay, let's see what books he's probably going to recommend. Red Hood and the Outlaws. Is he going to recommend War Games? Is he going to recommend some shit I don't know about? And then he gets there, he's just like, we recommend just this random Black Mask book, which fills up like five different stories of just quick little issues that featured Black Mask. You can't even name a fucking story arc, dude. Come on.
They're like, I guess you could go check out that Birds of Prey movie. I guess that's close enough.
That's the reason they did the episode in the first place, but yeah. I'm glad he at least wore the fucking mask at some point, because for a while I'm like, okay, he's going to show him in the mask just for that part where his title card. I'm like, okay, he's actually wearing the mask in the last, like, third of the movie.
Yeah, I know, because there was that point, too, where I was like, okay, you better put the fucking mask on. Like, sometimes it's one of those ones that's like, it ain't fucking 2000 anymore. I know your movie's trying to play like it is, but, like,
it did have a little bit of 2004 vibe to it.
Yeah, because that's the only thing is, like, some of the characters, they like, especially the Birds of Prey's costumes, like, it's kind of like Huntresses in this one. Like, the whole time I'm like, who the fuck designed this costume? Like, because it's one of those ones, like, you kind of hate to say it, but it's almost like that thing where it's like, okay, you're a big movie studio with an endless budget in a sense. Like, why does your costumes sometimes look so funky and, like, it's one of those ones, like, it's that kind of classic thing, like, why does the person at the Comic-Con have a better costume than the person in the movie does? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll say this. I didn't think her costume was god-awful. I saw hints of it on there. The fact that it was purple and she had the chain coming down. I want to say there were some earlier versions of Huntress where she just had this big, long chain kind of holding her guns up or whatever. Like, I didn't think Huntress looked all that bad. And I thought Mary Elizabeth Winstead did an awesome job as the character. I just wish there was fucking more of her. But
well, even her too. She was it just felt like you got a really great actress, and she just kind of was there as like, yo, whatever. I'm kind of like a half-assed Raven, and it was just like, what? I don't know. It's just one of those ones. Like, I think the bummer about it is like, that's the actress I like the most in the entire movie, and then it's kind of like, oh, she sort of really got the low end of the shaft on this thing. Like, her costume kind of sucks. She's in the movie the least amount. And, like, I don't know, even, like, her dialogue was kind of goofy. It's almost like she just kind of, like, it almost had that feeling of, like, hey, Mary, come in here. Can you read these lines? Yeah, sure. Oh, why is that camera rolling? Don't worry about it. Just keep going. Like, oh, I'm just filling in, right? Yeah, sure, whatever.
I mean, I'm glad they at least got in the whole thing that she's, she's like trying to get she's like basically a mafia princess trying to get revenge on Black Mask and all the guys who had a hand in the death of her family. Mm-hmm. I thought that was cool how they left that in there, and for what she was in, I thought she was good. I mean, her costume did look a little like quasi CW-ish, But then even when they get to the end, we're like, okay, they're wearing the costumes that resemble them more. She's still wearing the little mask, but even that costume still looked kind of like, all right, I see it's purple, it has the white stripe coming up over here, but at the same time still looks kind of CW-ish.
Well, that's the thing is like, it's like, yeah, like I'm not saying it's like you can't tell it's a Huntress costume. It's just, it doesn't look very good. It's just not form fitting. It's like, it's kind of goofy and baggy. Like it's like just not properly designed. It's not like I can't recognize her. It's just like, it's almost like, what, did you not have a costume that fit her? Like, what the heck's going on here? Did you, like, the seamstress take the fucking day off when she was supposed to, like, tighten it up? You know, like, what the hell is going on? Like, I just thought it was like, well, one's like, that one to me was, especially even the ending part where they show like that very like, they're like, oh, they became the birds of prey. And it's like, that costume right there, it just reminds me like those ones when you look at that, like, I don't know, it's just like,
She'll get just got off an MC Hammer video.
Yeah, it was just one of those ones like, God, it's like, this is your one chance to like represent Huntress on the live screen, your fucking, you know, Warner Brothers in DC, and you kind of have this real hokey looking, like, you know, you'd get made fun of if you went to Comic-Con wearing that kind of costume. Like, people would be like, what, did your retarded brother make that for you? Like, what's going on here? Like, this better be a charity case.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I wasn't, like, in love with the costume. I didn't think it looked god-awful, but at the same time, knowing other movies and things they've made in the past and how good they made other costumes look, I'm surprised it kind of skimped out on this one. I guess the part of the idea is, all right, well, these are street-level, because I guess for a while we weren't really focusing on street-level crime. All the DC things have been focusing on big, extravagant shit. Mm-hmm. So I guess this is the first low-level street crime type movie. So for that, maybe that was their mindset. All that being said, I thought she did good. I thought the chick that played Black Canary did a really good job. But once again, it was just more of like, I wish their costumes would at least reflect a little bit more of who they're supposed to be. I mean, I knew who Black Canary was the second I saw her, just because, okay, she's singing in a bar. We see the martini glass kind of shaking. That narrows that down. All right.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's like, that's the thing. It's not like this one of those weird movies where it's like, you can't tell what the hell each character is. You know what I mean? Like, those ones where it's like, you have to look at the ending credits to go, oh, that's who that was. It's not like that.
That's kind of like some early X-Men movies were.
Yeah, exactly. Where that's the only way you know that that's who it is. But yeah, it's kind of like I think it's just that thing where it's like, sometimes at the end of the day, it's like, we've gotten so far, like, this movie is supposed to, I feel like, once again, if it would have came out like in 2008, you would have been like, oh, you would have accepted any of it. You know what I mean? It would have been like, oh, fine. I get it. But kind of by like this point, it's almost like one of those ones you just need to sit somebody down and be like, could you just do what's on the fucking page? That's all I ask. Just do what's on the fucking page. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's like, it's not that the movie's bad, because it's like, you know, it's got interesting action in it, and it's got, you know, fun moments. And I mean, like, overall, it's one of those ones. Probably, here's the thing. If you knew nothing about Birds of Prey, and maybe you just barely knew about Harley Quinn, I could see this movie actually being like one of those ones where somebody could really like it. You know what I mean? Kind of like being, but I think it's one of those ones when you kind of just have like an idea of some of the characters. It's just kind of like, you know, it's like we've done this, like, it's almost like we've let you off the hook for like the last, like, you know, 20 years. It's like by this point, it's kind of like, I feel like just, you know, when you see other comic book movies just get it so dialed in, it's like, can we just get this fucking for once?
I feel like we're at this weird point now because everything kind of comes in waves. And I feel like there was this point where a movie would come out based on a comic book or whatever, and it'd be like, oh man, it's so close to the costume or their outfit, but they just kind of change this around, change that around, so it still has sort of that movie-ish vibe to it. Now we're at that point where it might have a little bit of that, but basically it's just like, oh, wow, you guys found a great way to make Captain America's outfit look awesome on screen. Same thing with Thor. Same thing with Batman. Same thing with Superman by this point.
Same thing of Aquaman and like Wonder Woman even and all that stuff. And then it's like even Shazam, even fucking Shazam. It's just like it's weird.
But the point I was gonna make was, but I think there's still that period. Say like it didn't look bad, but say something kind of some of the characters didn't look bad, like Daredevil, like 2003 Daredevil. Daredevil's costume didn't look bad, but it's like, all right, what are we gonna do? Leather. Like jumpsuit, kind of looks more like a jacket. And Elektra, I don't know. Let's just make her look like she's going out to the club on a Friday night. And same thing with a lot of like CW character costumes. Like you watch something like Smallville and you see a lot of like proto costumes of like Aquaman he was in a few episodes, or Green Arrow, or anybody. And they're just kind of like, all right, well, I'm just kind of wearing like an orange hoodie with like green, with like, like
green pants,
with green like swim trunks or whatever, And I feel like maybe we're at this point. I honestly don't know. Maybe we're at this point where people like, remember back when they do that, when they kind of alluded more to the costume rather than actually just putting them in the costume. I'm kind of nostalgic for that. Maybe we'll bring that back in this movie. Maybe that's just a thought process. I don't really know if that's why it's there, but
Well, I think it's that, and I think it's like it's funny because they really do stick to the Suicide Squad like style. Like they like almost did not give that up whatsoever. It's like one of those ones like for the fact that movie is once again like as I said, like I probably like that movie more than most people out there. Like really at the end of the day, like I probably enjoyed Suicide Squad more than the average Joe because I know most people seem to not like it. And it's just funny that like you take a movie that like generally like the average most people didn't like whatsoever. And you go like, fuck it, we're gonna stick with that. We're gonna keep that exact style. We're gonna keep that exact look. You know what I mean? And we're not gonna try to, because this is the point where it's like you almost had a chance where you're like, okay, keep Harley Quinn, like whatever, she's weird. You can just keep her in that style. But you could almost have taken everybody else and just went full DC with it, and like it would not have like affected like the Harley Quinn-ness of it all. She could kind of just be this like in between centerpiece that just rotates around. But instead, I think I almost have to do it at the same time, give him credit for saying the fact, like, no, fuck it, we're doing Suicide Squad 2. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, you gotta give him credit for that.
I almost have to give him credit for, like, not, like, you know what I mean? That's like, there's just sometimes, like, that point where it's just, I guess it's kind of like the X-Men movies. Like, you know what? We tried the costumes. We said, fuck it. We're going back to them not wearing costumes again.
Well, another thing with this movie, X-Men's another good example of that, what I was trying to make earlier. But no, another thing is if you just look at the poster for this movie, I think it is kind of confusing to people because I know that Harley Quinn, people like to just almost imagine her in different crazy outfits, but she's not wearing any of her signature colors. She's not wearing black or red. No. So because of that, I think that throws people off a little bit more as well. And combine that with you look at the rest of the people on the poster, you look at like Renee Montoya, which was cool, she was in the movie, and then you have Huntress, Black Canary, and then Cassandra Cain there. None of them really look like comic book characters, so it's kind of like, is this, and Harley Quinn's kind of in small fonts compared to the rest of the poster, so it's kind of one of those things. All right, so what is this entirely? What's Birds of Prey? Most people don't know what Birds of Prey is, so I think the smartest thing would do is just call this movie Harley Quinn, and then as you watch it, oh fuck, Birds of Prey are in this thing. That's cool.
Well, you know what? Because I bet you, like, there's a lot of people that probably walk by this movie and just go, like, is that just some, like, one of those, like, knockoff superhero movies? Like, because if you think about it, like, it really doesn't represent, like, it sounds weird, but it's like, you know what it sort of was missing, too? It's sort of, like, it comes back to that old-fashioned, you know how what really needed to sell this movie was some fucking bat flick right in the fucking, like, somewhere in there. At the end of the day...
peeking around the corner.
That was the one thing I kind of thought. At the very end of the movie, I mean, like, I knew that there wasn't going to be a cameo by that, but I'm like, you know what? There's a time and a place, and like this is the place where you really need that like Batman to like come help sell your fucking movie kind of thing. If Batman came in there and punched Harley Quinn in the face and then swung away just for like even a moment, like that's sometimes all you need.
Or if they just like had like, I think if they had more characters that the general public would associate with Batman, like, oh, Two-Face, he was in that Dark Knight movie, right? Or even something like Poison Ivy or something. Like, I honestly think like that Gotham Sirens idea would have been a good movie too.
Well, I think that like, because like when I first said the Birds of Prey one, I'm like, what they really should do, because I knew they were going to do the Harley Quinn as like kind of the main thing, is it should have been a Birds of Prey versus the Sirens. So you would have had like Harley, Ivy, and Catwoman on one side, and then you could have had Batgirl, Huntress, and Black Canary on the other side. I'm like, who would not want to see that? Because then it's like you got, Harley Quinn, and you could say Batgirl is sort of your recognizable character, especially if you use a regular Batgirl. Don't use a random ass one to confuse people. And then you had like Poison Ivy being a classic character, and Catwoman, of course. And then Huntress and did I say Black Canary already? I mean, no.
I think you did.
I think I did. I meant Catwoman, whatever. But then you have Black Canary and sort of Huntress to be for like the average audience to be kind of like, here's your introduction character. So I guess you got
yeah.
them in the DC or in the fucking CW stuff too, but
there's a lot of things I guess they could have done with this. It's just, I mean, like I said, it doesn't. I mean, I think I liked it more than you did, but at the same time, it's not even so much the execution of the movie that bothers me, because I mean, by this point, we're going to keep on getting different variations of these movies, and DC isn't following any of these stories too closely. I mean, this people are saying, "Oh, this has no connection to Suicide Squad." Like, this definitely had fucking connection.
It's a full-on sequel. Like, what are you talking about? No connection.
Yeah, I've heard multiple people say, I mean, maybe you don't have to watch Suicide Squad to get what's going on here, but I mean, they have a quick cut to her falling in the acid from Suicide Squad, and then they also literally spell out the whole thing, like going, like, you know, breaking him out of prison, falling in love with him, getting caught by the Batman, breaking out, fighting said Batman again, whatever, you know, like things that actually happen in that movie, they flat out say. So it's like, you know.
Well, it's even got, like, she pulls out the outfit from the first one. Yeah, there's so much stuff. Plus, it's one of those ones I feel like if you really didn't, you almost kind of, I mean, like, if somebody knows their DCU, you could obviously just jump into this anywhere. But like, if you were just, you know, mom and pop in Oklahoma, and you almost kind of have to see Suicide Squad to understand, like, oh, she's the Joker's girlfriend. Oh, and they had a falling out. You know what I mean? I mean, I know it explains it really quickly in the beginning, but that's probably too quick for the average person who's not, like, enthralled in DC lore.
I'll say this. My girlfriend never saw Suicide Squad. We went to go see this, and she knows of Harley Quinn because, you know, she's dating me. But at the same time, watching this, she was not confused at any point. She may have said, is that guy in the comic? Is she in the comic? Okay, cool. But that's about it, you know? So beyond that, I think people can still fairly jump in. And I think a lot of times you get the mom and pop from Oklahoma, but at the same time, as you watch the movie, I feel like as it goes on, the movie studios don't always give them enough credit. Like they say, we're in Gotham City. We fought Batman. Like, oh, it's the same world as Batman. Okay.
Yeah, they always kind of have those little mentions and so on like that. But yeah, no, it's stupid for someone to say that it's like not a sequel to Suicide. It's got like the exact same look. It's got the same type of soundtrack and everything like that. Like, it's doing the exact same movie. Because that's the thing about Suicide Squad is like, it's like the whole style of it and everything like that. Like, you know, I mean, like it's something different, but like it works. It's just like it just hits like road bumps along the way that kind of like mess it up. Like almost like it shouldn't have failed. And I think it's that weird thing too. It's just that those classic ones where it's like you have such a build. Because you think about, remember like when Suicide Squad was coming out, like you'd watch like that trailer and you're like, dude, how could this like not be badass?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, it's like, I think there's just certain movies out there. It's like The Kingsman 2. I remember that movie had like probably one of the strongest trailers I have ever seen. And then you kind of watch the movie and you're like, oh, well, it was just kind of okay. What the hell happened there? Like, you had such
the part with the giant donut and they're taking cover was cool, but yeah.
You had such a good first movie and you had such an amazing trailer for the second one. Just like, you know, it's not that it's bad. It's just not up to par. That's how I feel like kind of Birds of Prey too. It's like, it was once like, it's not a bad movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could enjoy it. As I said, I think probably the less you know about DC, probably the more you could really enjoy it, you know? But
I'm just surprised. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I can't remember what I was going to say now.
Oh, sorry. I'm just surprised. Well, I mean, it's kind of interesting because this movie is getting like, I don't know. It's so weird. Because this movie is getting good reviews, but I think it's getting good reviews from people who don't read a lot of comics. And it's, once again, I'm not fighting against those reviews. Like I said, I liked the movie, but I also feel like, I don't know, it's just so weird. You just can't come out with a movie anymore that just lady centric without like some dudes coming out of the woodwork and being like, they're trying to make us feel bad for being men. Like, no, it's just men, bad guys. That's all it is. They're in the comic. I mean, realistically, most of Batman's roster, not all of them, but most of them are guys that he fights. Not all of them, but most. Like, it's bullshit! Like, okay, whatever, you know? It's just like, if it went to the degree of, like, you know, them facing off against Batman, and Batman's like, I'm sorry for being a white, rich male. You may peg me while I wear this gag ball in my mouth. I'd be like, all right, well, you know what? I'll give you credit for being that ballsy, but it seems a little forced. If that happened in the movie, I would get where a lot of these complaints are coming from. But if it's like, you know, I honestly feel like there's a lot of like overreactions on both sides when it comes to this movie.
Yeah, because I feel like that stuff's. I mean, yeah. If you look hard enough, I guess you could kind of see. I mean, like, you could say there's kind of like the woman empowerment, but that's not really like that. Could go really the exact opposite way too. The weirdest part about it's like whenever people kind of do that, it's like, have you ever read a comic before? Like most comics always have like that. Like comic books pretty much invented the strong female character if you really think about it. Like before that, you just didn't really see that like in entertainment. And then all of a sudden, you have comic books like, just even from like, from Wonder Woman on, you can almost say, and nobody seemed to say anything about that until like recently. You know what I mean? Like, what's the other books? You got things like, like Danger Girl throughout the years. They do like the Charlie's Angels thing. You got even things
Danger
like
Girl.
I was trying to pull something that was not just like our standard, like, oh, or like, anything in the X-Men.
Congratulations.
Shit, you got like Witchblade, you know what I mean? You got like all these ones like that. It's like that's always been there. Like I don't know, even things like Lady Death and and so on like that. Like I don't know where it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, you make a movie about it and for some reason it pisses us off. It's like I said, I mean that used to be almost like how video games sort of were too. It's like used to be, you had like Tomb Raider and all that kind of stuff, and even Resident Evil characters. But then all of a sudden, like nowadays, for some reason, you put like for some reason people sometimes flip out like when there's like a female lead character. And it's like, well, that used to be just nobody questioned it in the 90s. I don't know why we're questioning it today.
I feel like people are just doubling down. I think there's maybe when you're a kid, like, all right, I'm just gonna spitball here. Maybe when you're a kid and you're playing like a video game and the girl is dressed like in pink or something, like, oh man, I don't want to be that girl. Why? Well, she's a girl and she's pink and I'm a guy. I don't want to do that.
I'm
like,
a
well,
guy.
you're not the only one that plays this game. Yeah, like you're not the only one that plays this game. Maybe a girl wants to play this game. Okay, that's true. Now, like that thought goes out unfiltered. And then, like, everyone's in that same thought process of, like, oh, this is a movie made for women, not for me. I fucking hate it. Or then you get those people that try to, like, do that, like, kind of dance around it, where it's just like, look, it's totally fine if someone wants to make a movie for, like, women. But why does the bad guy have to be a white guy? Why does it have to be that? And just, like, fucking look at the comics. That's most of the villains. That's most of the people in the fucking comics. What do you want to do by this point? It's been like this shit for 80 fucking years.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like it seems like it's like the unpleased. You can't just please anybody anymore. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of like, I don't know. Just take it for what it is. I mean, yeah, it's not perfect, but it's like, yeah, it's a fun, entertaining movie as much as can be. Even if they have some goofy fucking choices throughout there, and it's.
The whole thing about where she eats the stone, I guess that gives them a reason to have to kind of like move the movie along and why they have to hover around Cassandra. But the choice to eat the stone was probably the weirdest choice to me.
Yeah.
Other than the title of the movie.
Well, other than the fact that that doesn't help that she's like, oh, I'm fat, so I'm going to eat the stone. It's like, of course you're fucking fat. That's why you're eating the stone. It's like, yeah, it's like fucking like Gran Torino girl. What are you doing?
Well, there's also the whole part with we actually talk about like Montoya. I thought it was cool they actually had Montoya in this movie.
And and she's the part that I think is actually like done probably the best out of all of them. Like, you know what I mean? Like her character I think kind of works. I mean, that's the one I guess I would say that like where maybe somebody kind of freaks out more because they're like, because her character whole thing is like, yeah, I never get a fucking promotion though I do all the fucking work, though I'm always slinging dick here, like fucking Harvey Bullock always wins them all. So,
it would have been cool if like her partner was Harvey Bullock. I would have liked to see that.
And that's almost where like I could probably see one of those people going like, see, that's the thing though, is they did put Harvey Bullock in there because you know why? Because I didn't want a fat white guy fucking running around with her eating donuts. You know what I mean? She gets all the credit, but it's like,
and all the donuts.
And she gets all the donuts too. But yeah, I know that's kind of bummed that Harvey Bullock wasn't there. I'm like that. If there's one place you had to put Harvey Bullock in a movie, finally.
Who knows? You might get him in that Matt Reeves one, which the more I hear about, the more I'm looking forward to it. They're actually filming that fucking thing in like Scotland and I think parts of like Glasgow, and I think parts of London to give that kind of gothic architecture that Gotham has. And then on top of that, John Turturro's playing Falcone. I want to say Mad Hatter might be in it, and then I think Firefly might be in it, and then definitely Penguin and Riddler. So
yeah, that sounds like that'll be a fun one.
Oh, and Zoe Kravitz I think is Catwoman, which that's a pretty good choice.
Because that one seems like it's kind of like they're almost kind of going back to like, let's just do like a classic Batman story. Let's back up from all the weird stuff.
Well, it's apparently supposed to be more of a detective movie. And they're pulling. I know that Dark Knight pulled from Long Halloween, but it pulled from Long Halloween in the aspect of Two-Face's origin story. This one is pulling from Long Halloween and like a murder mystery. Like, okay, there's all these different villains. Who's doing it? What's the connection? And I think that's the way you do a Batman movie.
Yeah, because that's the one thing that's kind of really has never been 100% like. It's like you could always, they've never really done like the full like detective film. He's always doing some detective work in it, but like it's like, you know, most of the time it always falls more, I guess you would say, superhero, where like you could really just go pure crime and make it that kind of style.
Yeah. And even I'll say this: Bat Begins and Dark Knight had like elements of detective stuff in there, but it was still more like adventure at the end of the day. Which, you know, still fantastic movies. But I'm really looking forward to see what they do with this one. And there's a point when I was younger, I probably would have been like, you know, like Robert Pattinson, the vampire man. But at this point, he's been in like a lot of indie movies, and I've seen him. Oh, he's good by this point. So we'll see what happens.
And that to me is like those ones like, you never know. You know, it's kind of like that sort of like, I know it's like, I always think about this too, if like Jared Leto just gets so fucking hated up for some reason. The second that like the Joaquin Phoenix Joker came out, like it was like all this like hate fucking like drawings and mail just came out like on Jared Leto. I was like, you know what? The other day it's like, okay, Jared Leto was different as a Joker, but like I don't know, was that really like the worst thing ever? But people make it out like he's just like that, like fuck that guy. What you ruined my fucking childhood. Like what? It was like 4 years ago. Like.
He didn't. Well, I guess I'll say this: he's probably, as far as cinematic Jokers go, he's probably, in all honesty, and only because I probably got to spend more time with him and got to understand how he works better. Leto is probably my least favorite cinematic Joker, and the reason is he didn't really have a chance to do a whole lot. He was just kind of there. He was only there to say, "You don't want no beef, this big old." He's just like him, just kind of acting and just like being all kind of just like swaying around doing weird shit with no real context to it. And, you know, I feel like when I watch Heath Ledger, I feel like I could see he's clearly a little off, but you kind of understand. You spend enough time with him, you see how he gets there. Where Jared Leto Joker was immediately just like, I mean, there's that line where he says, I'm not gonna kill you. I'm just gonna hurt you really, really bad. He smiles. That's the fucking Joker. That's the Joker. But everything else in that movie, it's just, I'm not going to blame him. He just didn't really get a chance to do anything.
Well, really. He's a cameo character, really, at the end of the day. So, I mean, he's not like even the main character of that film. But, like, I don't know what it was. It was like the second that Joaquin Phoenix Joker came out, people fucking, like, turned hardcore. Like, I mean, like, realistically, like, I need to draw a picture of fucking Jared Leto's Joker getting, like, raped by, like, a cow. Like, why? It's like, because I fucking hate him.
It pleases me on the inside.
Yeah, it's just like, while the other Jokers jerk off and, like, watch in honor. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you people?
You ever seen Mr. Hands? I want that to happen to this Joker.
But, yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's like, well, those ones like, okay, didn't bother me none, but go ahead. Like, Jesus Christ, people.
I don't envy whoever has to do Joker. Well, I'll say this. I was gonna say this earlier. I feel like, I mean, granted, it's people just, you know, whoever just wants to shout into the sky and hope someone hears it. But after whatchamacallit, Joker came out, I remember hearing like people buzzing around saying, you know what? I think this is really the way to move forward with Batman. I think this should tie into Matt Reeves' Batman movie. Like, if it does, cool. Hopefully he learned to be a better criminal by then. But the idea then you get people like trying to do a petition like, no. This should be the next, like, this should link in. I fuck what they're doing now. Just build a Batman in this world. I'm like, you just saw this fucking thing. You're not taking into account, like, we just saw a super realistic Batman. I kind of would like to go back to fantasy Batman at some point.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, the Joker's, it's a good one-off movie just to kind of say, hey, look at what else we can kind of do. But at the end of the day, it's like that, I feel like that's not what we're here for as far as, like, superhero stuff. You know what I mean? Going back
to Joker for a second. Did you hear Kevin Smith say what he heard the original ending was going to be?
No, I didn't.
He said, and he didn't say the name of the person, but he said someone who he's good friends with, who's a reliable source in DC. The original ending for the Joker is when he's in the Arkham at the end, And he's like, I just thought of something funny. She's like, what was it? Like, you wouldn't get it. And it's the part where he actually walks by Bruce crying over his parents. He looks at him, shrugs, keeps walking, then shoots the kid, and it ends right there. And it's just like, oh, that's okay. So this is an alternate world where there is no Batman. Okay, that's pretty fucked up, and that's pretty ballsy, but they didn't do that.
Yeah, because they probably wanted to leave that sort of open.
On the chance.
Yeah, on the chance that, that would make more sense to me, because it's like for how that kind of like Joker, because that Joker to me always just feels like it's not supposed to be technically like anything really connected to like straight normal Batman. It's just its own Elseworld, pocket world, kind of like adventure or whatever you want to call it.
I'm having trouble imagining Poison Ivy or like Bane in that world.
Yeah, or I'm really kind of having a hard time imagining that Joker really actually fighting anybody in that world.
Well, I don't really see... I mean, the whole thing with that Joker is he doesn't come across as a criminal mastermind. He comes across as just a guy who got kind of lucky and stumbled his way into this shit. So the idea of him leading an army, maybe, who knows, maybe he gets better as it goes on. But the whole thing with him, I think it almost would have been a better way to end the movie, would be just him I mean, I like that other idea, but rather than him inside the asylum, just him on this, ending on this note of he's like got this whole mob cheering his name, then credits right there, and that's like, oh fuck. And then he just basically goes on to, from there I can believe that guy might be able to get shit done, but we see he's in the asylum at the end, so it's like, oh.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those.
Talk about one DC thing, it brings in 5 other DC things.
Exactly. That's always sort of how it is, And yeah. At the end of the day, yeah, you got Birds of Prey coming up next. That's what it is.
And we also got Wonder Woman coming out. Then I think we got Batman after Wonder Woman.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like one of those ones. Like, I think the Birds of Prey one, I think it's one of those ones. Like, I think people should go see it. Like, I don't see why like you wouldn't want to go see it. It's still like got it's still got the action in it. It's still got funny moments, and it's got characters you don't normally see, at least. I'm not saying it doesn't have stuff going for it. I mean, I just feel like it just has that feel of like 1 step forward, 2 steps back, kind of like that. Like we're not really making enough progress like we should be. Like where I felt like Justice League and like Aquaman was like, oh shit, we're fucking getting there. Like, what I mean? Like these feel like exactly what you kind of like hope that like a superhero movie would be. And then you kind of have these ones where it's like, oh, well, they're still good, but they're like the kind of, I guess, like the B rank ones. I mean, we all know like there's always those ones where it's like they're not nearly as good as the others, but still.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll say this. I think something like Justice League, not Justice League. I guess the thing that bothers me a little bit is since they use the name Birds of Prey, it's probably going to push them away from you making another Birds of Prey movie about the Birds of Prey anytime soon. So, yeah, we'll probably have to wait another 10 years before we see Huntress and Black Canary at least as the Birds of Prey. So,
well, because that's always the other thing too, is like that's always the downfall to like when they like, even if you don't like mess the character up too much, but if you just jack the character up just enough, it can
just do something weird, experimental, and it doesn't make enough money.
Yeah, and it's just like that thing where it's like, it's almost like, and I don't know why people always want to be experimental in movies. Like, no. A comic book is a great place to be experimental at, because here's the thing. You could be experimental at a comic and make the most weirdest fucking version. Doesn't make a difference because there's going to be a new story arc in the next couple months anyways. But in a movie, it's like you get like, it's almost like you get one fucking shot. Like, don't fuck this up. You got one fucking shot. And it's like, I don't know why that like half those people out there just love to like, it's almost like they do I always just say this is the classic way I look at so many things with like adaptations, where someone kind of goes like, hey, could you make this? And they just kind of flip through the book, like don't even really fucking read it, and then just toss it over their shoulder after about like 30 seconds and be like, yeah, I got this. And it's like, and sometimes it's like, no, stop. Don't put your own twist on it. You think you're really creative, but you're not. Let me stop you there. You're not a real artist. You're just here to fucking make a movie and make it go forward. You know what I mean? Like, do what's on the fucking page. Here's the thing. Did Edgar Wright, when he was making Scott Pilgrim, fucking just start making up his own fucking ideas? No. He did what was on the fucking page, and that's why Scott Pilgrim works. You know, when they're making fucking, like, The Watchmen, did he fucking just start making up their own stuff, maybe other than the ending? No. They did exactly what was on the fucking page, and it worked really good.
Yeah, I feel that's the case a lot of time. Every so often I get some, there's some creative licensing I get you want to mix around with. Like, you know what? Maybe we'll give this kind of a Spielberg vibe, or maybe we'll give this kind of like a Tarantino vibe. I kind of get that. But I guess it's just, like I said, I walked out of this movie not feeling angry, just kind of like, oh, well, too bad they did this, because that's probably not going to make enough. That's probably going to push them away from doing anything with this particular character anytime soon. But Birds of Prey or Black Mask primarily. But I'll say that I didn't feel like I think the lady who made the movie, Katie Yan or something like that. I don't feel like that this movie was like she flipped through the book and called it good. I think she did go in there with a vision, and not that the vision was bad, but it was just more. It's really just the kind of the, like I said, it's more than anything the title and the costumes. I think that's what fucked you. I think the combination of those two things, the title and lack of costumes, is the thing that kind of like, wait, is this a comic? What is it? Is it Harley Quinn? Is it these ladies? What? Who are these ladies?
Yeah, it's just kind of confusing. I think that's sort of it, and it's like that thing that like I think if they just would have went full superhero with it and been like, hey, we're just gonna make it. It's gonna still give it the grittiness, and you can still keep all that in there, but just kind of keep that. Because even like I'll say this, even Harley Quinn has some kind of weird costumes in this one too. That like, it's like, is that something that Harley Quinn would wear? Like, I guess, but it just feels like you're just putting weird outfits on her, just put weird outfits on her. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Because even like that weird one, like, because they all got these like weird fucking pants on in this movie. I don't know what it is. They just got the strangest things. Like at the end where she's got the roller fucking skates on and those like high fucking like yellow fucking looks like she's about to go like fucking catfishing or something like that, like
the jumpsuit. Then she's wearing like the tube top underneath that or whatever.
Yeah, it's just like they just got like I just feel like they got it's like weird to be weird. Like it doesn't have any like somebody would probably tell you that like, well, that's how Harley Quinn is weird to be weird. I'm like, I don't think she's that fucking weird. I mean, there's weird, but then there's like I don't know, just like this unnecessarily like weird.
I'll say this is much shit as we've been talking on this movie. Choreography is really good. Fighting choreography is really cool in this movie. Especially, I thought that was an interesting way to do like the kind of one of the final showdowns is where she's on roller skates and she's trying to go after Black Mask and she's on his car and she's almost like she's able to roll with it. She's on stage, but she's like in the front of the car taking cover and like flipping to this side, flipping to that side, fighting back. Like I thought that was a really interesting creative fight scene right there. So I'll say the action choreography in this movie is fucking awesome. Like better than Suicide Squad in that aspect. But kind of we've kind of said to death everything else wrong with the movie. But once again, still worth seeing. I still liked it.
Yeah, no, the action is really dialed in. Like that is definitely true. Even there's like the scene where she's going to the police station to go get fucking Cassandra Cain, and she goes in there with like a fucking grenade launcher, fucking Terminator 2 style, and just starts shooting the place up.
Has it got a beanbag gun? Yeah.
Yeah, it's got like a mixture of beanbags, and then it's got like
glitter bombs.
Yeah, glitter bombs, and then it's also got like the shit they shoot in Terminator 2. Fucking what's that called?
Mustard gas or something?
No,
mustard gas, not that. Like tear gas or some shit.
Don't kill anybody, okay? I'll just use the mustard gas.
The other one,
just
tear
even
gas.
worse. Like it's like, oh man, like he didn't want him to kill anybody, so instead he let him slowly suffer.
Well, it's still, I mean tear gas,
yeah.
But at the end of the day, mustard gas still causes tears, if not by the people, by their families. So,
yeah.
Same fucking thing.
Yeah, same fucking thing. But like, like that scene's really fucking cool. The ending shootout with Black Mask and all that kind of stuff where they're in like the amusement mile. Like there is, I'll say this. At the end of the day, it's easy to kind of point out the stuff that's kind of like, what the fuck? Because it's like kind of right there on like Main Street. But then like when you do kind of break it down, you're like, there is some stuff in there that is kind of neat. And I think that's the downfall. It's the same problem that Suicide Squad had, where like you actually have some like really legitimate stuff, but then you kind of like get some other things that are like goofy and weird in the way, and that is at the end of the day what people remember, sadly. You know what I mean? Because that's the thing about a lot of times Suicide Squad is people kind of forget how fucking good that first 45 minutes is because they only remember the last half of the movie or the last second part of it.
Well, that's the thing about Suicide Squad. That part's true. But the thing about this movie is it starts off good, kind of peters out because you're like, oh, that's what we're doing this character. That's as far as we're going with this character over here. Okay. But then you get to the end, and that third act really picks back up again. So it kind of, I think that third act makes up for a lot of shortcomings the middle had.
Yeah, and it's like, one thing, I'll say this, I don't think there's actually anything that, like, there's no slowdown in this movie. Like, it doesn't have that kind of problem or anything like that. Like, the pacing's all fine and everything like that. It's more just weird things along the way that you kind of go, huh? But it doesn't really, like, stop you from, like, it's not like this part where it's like, oh, God, it's fucking boring. Or they're like, or aren't they going to go on a fucking adventure or anything like that? No, there's always something going on in here.
Well, that's slow. Well, I'll be honest. I thought the stuff with Harley and Cassandra was a little kind of like dragged on for a minute.
Where the part where they're like at her house and they're like watching.
Her house. There's some funny jokes in there, but they're at her house. And I mean, I get what they're trying to say because Harley's living in a fucking dump, but to a kid like Cassandra, she's like, you have your own place? Oh my God, it's so cool. Like just the idea of like a woman who's probably only like maybe 10 years older than her seems so much more like grown up. But to Harley, it's like, this is all I got right now. But at the same time, to this kid, like that's like you're what I look up to, you know.
Well, that's like as a kid, like as like a 10-year-old kid, you see like the abandoned house on like the neighborhood, and you'd be like, dude, imagine if we moved in there and lived there. You know what I mean? Like that's all you need as a child. Like you just like it's just fucking 4 walls and a roof. Yeah, well, there's 3 walls and a roof. Well, close enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
Exactly.
We'll put our fort on this side, and then we'll have our guns sticking out the other direction. So if anybody comes in that 3rd wall or that 4th wall,
the Nerf guns and super soakers.
Yeah. Nobody will break our 4th wall. But yeah, it's like I don't know. It's like overall, like it is what it is. I kind of hope they just get these a little bit more dialed in. I don't know. It's that thing. It's like I feel like DC's kind of like this experimental time period where we're just gonna see like 5 different movies that like really feel like they're supposed to be connected, but they're all gonna be kind of different because it's like you sort of have the Joker, then you're gonna have you have Birds of Prey, then you're gonna have the Wonder Woman movie, which probably will fit back into that like Wonder Woman / maybe Aquaman style if I had to guess. Keep it in that kind of frame. And then it's like we're going to the Batman one where they're going to try to detect. It's like they're almost just getting super experimental with stuff, which, I mean, not always a bad idea, but...
Well, apparently the plan is, because Batman is going to be quasi-experimental, because no connection to Wonder Woman or Aquaman, because apparently they're going to make no... Yeah, I guess they're doing that weird middle ground thing. Like, we don't fucking know who we are, but like they're doing that weird middle ground thing because it takes place further back. So if you want to be a prequel, it could be a prequel, but then it also, James Gordon is not played by, J.K. Simmons. He's played by, I forget the actor's name, but he's really good. He's Felix in the new, 007 movies.
Oh, then so that's a completely different person then.
Yeah, and they're changing, Andy Serkis is playing Alfred. That's an interesting, very different choice. I want to see, like, gun-toting Alfred from Earth 1. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
But either way, I think that there's something there for that. And I heard what they're going to do, and hopefully they're not trying to rush this. But apparently the thing they're going to try to do, from what I heard, is they're going to try and do, like, in 2 or 3 years, try and pull off Flashpoint, so that way they can go back to a connected universe. Like, okay, well, the reason why Robert Pattinson Batman is suddenly in this, and this Batman's gone, and this guy's over here, and that one's there, is timelines merge because Barry Allen went and fucked everything up. So that's apparently their plan, but at the same time, Flashpoint seems like something you build to. That doesn't seem like your first Flash movie out the gate.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it just feels like
this what happened with this happened with Batman v Superman. This is what happened with that shit.
Yeah, it's like it's just jumping the gun a little bit too fast. I don't know. At the same time,
marinate for a minute.
Yeah, and I mean, like, and you got to sort of do that once again. It's for the mom and pop in Oklahoma because that's what works so well for them with the Avengers series. Where like for me, like I personally, I remember when the first when they started having Iron Man and all that stuff come out, I'm like, why don't you just fucking make an Avengers movie right off the fucking bat? Like I know who these fucking characters are, but once again, it's like that's not who you're really selling to. At the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you do got to kind of build up to it. It's like one of those ones. I mean, like at the same time, I feel like there's some like you could do like a Justice League movie just right off the bat, or a sort of like the Avengers one, like, but you shouldn't do like those weird storylines that are like meant to be like a build-up type thing.
Yeah, agreed.
But
we'll see where this goes. Anyway, anything else you want to say about Birds of Prey, or?
No, I mean it is what it is. It's pretty much about exactly what I kind of thought it was. Like, I mean, it's about that center of the road movie, like, a good old like 2.5 out of 4 stars. Like enjoyable, like not perfect, but still had fun moments in it. Worth watching again. As I said, it's like it's kind of like Joker. It's like that's kind of like a one and done movie. I could see seeing Birds of Prey again.
Okay. Since I imagine, I don't know your schedule over the next week and change, but I imagine the next episode we're probably going to do, more than likely, is going to be probably covering Sonic, because something else we talk a lot about on this podcast is Sonic. So I was wondering, just for the fuck of it, if you want to go in and make predictions, and then we'll see what the movie is once it comes out.
I don't know. I'm not really. I was just gonna go see the movie. I wasn't really thinking about. I don't want to lead myself into being like, oh man, there's gonna be this part where like fucking Knuckles is up on Angel Island, whatnot. And he's fucking driving a robot ship, and then Tails comes in and he's like smoking crack for some reason. Like I don't really know why that. Like I don't want to lead myself into like something. Where
not like that. I meant like, do you think it's gonna be good? What do you think? Like, not like where do we think? Like, do you think this character's gonna pop in? Do you think that character's pop in? Like, what do you think? Do you got high hopes for this movie? Do you think it's gonna be kind of like middle road, or?
I hope it's amazing. Like, I really do. Like, I mean, it's probably those ones like, I mean, it's probably not gonna be like fucking like Scott Pilgrim amazing or like Watchmen amazing or something like that. But like, I really do hope that it's going to be probably a pretty solid, like, if it's better than Detective Pikachu, that's all I ask for.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like, and I like Detective Pikachu, but like, if you could be just even that slightly bit better than that, I'd be pretty like, yeah. Because, it's like, here's the thing. It's like, that trailer looks fucking good. Jim Carrey looks good. Sonic the Hedgehog looks good now. I mean, I know it's like, we're doing simple. Like, I just picture it like, it's Sonic the Hedgehog 1. I'm not trying to picture Sonic the Hedgehog 2, 3, and continuing on. Like, let's just say it's Sonic the Hedgehog 1. If you can capture to me a Sonic the Hedgehog 1 vibe, I guess that's all I really need. Anything else will be kind of bonus points, where it's like Suicide Squad, like, or not Suicide Squad, Birds of Prey, like, the trailer kind of gave me pretty much exactly how I thought the movie was going to be, and that's pretty much what the movie turned out to be. I wasn't really surprised. It was just, like, about exactly as what they were giving me.
Without leaning in too long with this, there's this podcast called, and what brought my attention to it as I was just looking up like things about the guys who wrote the Sonic movie. I was just curious about it, and apparently the guys who wrote the Sonic movie have a podcast that's been started up like within this last year called Greatest Movies Never Made, and they actually kind of like, I'm like, son of a bitch, they kind of do that whole they cover unproduced scripts. They just talk about these movies that never got made, and they've even covered a handful of the same movies we talked about.
Huh.
So, yeah, funny thing. Anyway, so I was listening to those guys, and because I was listening to a few of their episodes, and they're covering Mario Brothers, which I think is the first unproduced script we ever talked about. And some like, when they were talking about story structure, they had also guests on there. There's some things I kind of disagreed with and all that, but overall they seem like smart, funny guys, so it kind of made me more looking forward to this movie. And on top of that, it's also just one of those things of like, okay, I'm hoping this movie's gonna be good. I went from being one of those things, it looked like a hot pile of dog shit, and I don't think it was so much the writing. I think it was more of like the studio not knowing what they had and not knowing the fan basis behind it. And now they kind of went to Tyson Hess and like, what the fuck do we do? Like, all right, well, first off, make him actually look like the character. We'll just start there. And then from there, I honestly think, like, I'm not sure. I'm hoping they did more. I'm just going to say this. In the first trailer, it just looked like a very confused movie producer with a lot of cocaine just said, I don't fucking know, just make something. And the second trailer actually looks like, oh wow, that's actually Green Hill Zone. That's this over here. I could actually see like I'm just guessing here, like maybe the first 10 minutes of this movie, the stuff that actually looks like it's from the game, that being all CG stuff, they did in that whole redesign period and just plopped right in the movie. I can honestly see that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's kind of what it is. You know, unless for some reason it was just like a huge marketing ploy that's been kept really, really super well under wraps. That's the only other option.
So yeah, in all honesty, if this movie's as good as Detective Pikachu, I'll be happy, because Detective Pikachu is one of those movies I went in thinking with the highest hopes, and then watched like, oh, I liked it. I wasn't blown away, but I liked it. And then I watched it again on Hulu not too long ago, and like, okay, I'm still not blown away, but it was better than the first time I watched it. And this would go from me thinking like something looks like a hot pile of dog shit to, okay, that was actually good. So, you know, I think if it's just good, I'll be happy. I'm not hoping for okay. I'm just hoping just for good, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. It's one of those movies, like, I've actually been looking more forward to the Sonic movie, even with the original fucking trailer, just because I was just out of curiosity more than anything else.
Same thing here.
Than almost just about any other movie. Like, I don't know, like, there's, like, movies that it's like, yes, I know other movies out there are, like, much better, but, like, sometimes there's that kind of thing where it's like, you know what, that one, if I had to choose only one movie I could watch, that's the one I'm going with, oddly.
Yeah. Oh, and I was going to say, what kind of led me to that in the first place, I kind of went on a tangent there. Those guys who worked on Sonic, the movie, the guys who wrote it, they said that it was weird because they only had technically rights for certain characters, and one of the only games they had like complete rights to was the first Sonic game. So that's one of the things they're pulling the most from. So that's kind of the reason why you're not seeing all these other characters there. So they said in an episode of their show.
It's always so weird how that kind of is. That, you know, it seems like a logical explanation of like why you don't have like other characters and so on in there. Okay.
Yeah. And plus, you know, they got like, whenever they have like, they've been putting out like different songs to sell the movie on. It's always been like, you know, variations of the Green Hill Zone. Like, that's a song everyone knows. So okay.
Yeah, they're playing it super safe, but that's okay though. It might lead into a bit bigger possibilities. As I said, like that's all I'm looking at. I'm looking at it as a Sonic the Hedgehog 1 movie, not nothing else.
Yeah, I'll take it. We'll see where we go from there.
But yeah, beyond that though, you can go check out oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, comic books like Pizza Boys, and all other fun stuff on there. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
We'll see you some other time.
Later, folks.
Thanks again for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Sure, check out oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, cartoons, music, animation, and a whole lot more. We also have the Old Man Orange blog going with all kinds of fun stuff. If you easily want to support the show, use one of our Amazon links either on the website or in the description of the podcast below. Rate, review, and subscribe to the show either on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Newgrounds, or anywhere else that you seem to get this podcast from. Grab the sitcom-styled comic book Pizza Boys on either Comics Central, Comixology, or Amazon. Want more podcasts? Check out the Indie Comics Club over at Comics Central. I also got a workout website called Thor's Hidden Gym, filled with fitness tips and tricks, videos, and a whole lot more fun stuff in the calisthenics world. Talk to us on Twitter at Spencer S. Holmes and Dunigan Ryan. Like our Facebook pages of Old Man Orange Productions and Pizza Boys Comic. Thanks again, we're out of here.